Burden. Alright, so yeah, so there should be some sort of option to extract, and it's gonna look it looks something like this here.
Yes.
Good. So you select extract, and well, this here is showing because I already extracted it. But once you select extract, it's gonna create a folder with two other folders inside. So you should be seeing these two folders here.
Yeah, I see though.
Good. Open the setup folder, and you'll see installer. Double click on it. Select yes. And you should be here. The application will open and ask you to install or exit. Tell me when you reach here.
Sir, carry me back to the setup thing.
What's the thing?
Oh, the two folders?
When you open the setup folder, you see
Uh-huh.
an application like this here, Easy Pascal V6 installer.
Yeah.
Double click on it. It's gonna ask you for yes or no whether to install, whether to accept it. Select yes.
Good, another right?
So you see what I'm seeing?
Yeah.
Good.
Does install?
Yes, select install. Then select yes. And you're gonna go through the installation. You should see finish at the end. Let me know when you're at finish. Nathan, you there so far?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Come in.
Yes, sir, I'm there.
Did you click on finish?
Yeah.
Good. So when you click on finish, everything is gonna close off now. So Nathan, you should be here now too. Go back to where you see the two folders, setup and crack. Open the crack folder. And you can see an application here. Everybody in the crack folder? Well, I'm laying on Nathan.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Got it. So right click on the file and select copy. Say copy in this file here.
How you get back the crack folder?
Go back. Select Easy Pascal at the top here or click on the back arrow. If you can't find it, go to downloads and you might see the Easy Pascal folder. You're looking for a folder named Easy Pascal, and you open that. You find it?
Show me finding it back.
Well, check your desktop, check your downloads. You're looking for a folder named Easy Pascal. Or you check your documents, but you're looking for a folder named Easy Pascal. Unless you didn't extract it.
Yeah, I get it.
Good. So you open the folder, you open the crack folder. You inside the crack folder?
Yes, sir.
Good. Right click on the file and select copy. So you copy in the file. Tell me when you finish with that. Good. Now, on the desktop, go to your desktop. You can see the application. Look at my screen. You can see the application on your desktop. Easy Pascal. Right click on it. And you can see there's an option. I'm going to leave the meeting. Let's just wait a minute and see if he joins back. Wonderful, she's back.
I accidentally pressed the exit tab.
Yes, I had a feeling. Yeah, so you already copied the file, right? Now go to your desktop. Right,
I see.
Pascal, that's on your desktop. And select the option Open File Location. Should close everything again by. Wow. Welcome back again. Yes, are you there, Amelina?
So how are we coming off this thing? Because like, I remember I using the website for Google Meet.
Yeah, I'm using the website also. Don't you know how to minimize? Instead of clicking the X, you click on this line.
Oh,
Or just make the window smaller so that you can see while working. Yeah, see the way. Right click on the Easy Pascal icon and select Open File Location. Tell me when you finish with that.
yes, sir.
Good. So you can notice a folder open, right?
Yeah.
Good. Nathan, you there?
Sir, I don't know what's wrong with my computer. The taskbar, where all the applications are, it's like it's frozen. and I can't really select the files or like any other application. Right now, my screen is just black, like it's just blank. All I can see is the mouse.
Um, well, one is which application?
I was trying to use like all tabs to switch tabs, but still
Uh,
not working.
I mean, somebody application freezing. Try closing
Yeah.
everything. Try closing everything. We can give you a minute and then join back.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, but as I told you, the reason why you get the evaluation problem is because it wasn't cracked. So basically, what you gotta do is you go into the crack folder, you copy this file here, and then you go to the desktop where you have the application, right click on it, select open file location, and where a folder is going to open where the application was installed. So you just need to paste that file in this folder here. It's going to ask you to replace, so you just replace it, and you just close everything when that's finished. And when you open the application, you won't have any problem. So it won't tell you anything about evaluation or so. Alright, good. So let me switch back screens. Switch back to that screen. Stop presenting that screen. Present this one here. Open the textbook. As we go through, you can see if you get the application running. Because we still have.
Yes.
Alright. Are you guys seeing the textbook?
Yeah.
Erica and Amlena?
Yes, sir.
Alright, so we're jumping straight into programming, and sometime in the future we're gonna go back to theory. Why did I say example 2 or example 1? Pascal. Good. Let's see now. Let me open back the mark scheme. Go back to programming. So why did it take so long to load it? Alright. 15 marks program for your program in SBA. Now there's two ways you can basically go about doing your program in SBA. One, you can do it in the logical order, the correct order that I would have taught you, which is basically do your IPO charts, then your pseudocode, then your trace table, and then create the program. So pseudocode, then trace table, and then create the program. That's the correct logical order. So please remember that for your exam also. If they ask you what's the correct order, that's your correct order there. But IPO chart comes before. Now, you could do it in the reverse. Well, not technically the full reverse order. You either do it in that order, but because our program is so simple, you could create the program first, then from the program create your pseudocode, and then work on your trace table. But it's always a pseudocode and then trace table. So that's why it's not the full reverse. So whichever order you choose, you can do it in that whatever particular order you want to do it in, whichever you feel comfortable in. But I already showed you how to create a pseudocode. I gave you a guideline, and same for your trace table. So today we're going to be starting with the do's and don'ts for your program now. So just like your pseudocode, there's a guideline that you're going to follow as to how to create the layout of your program. Now, this is what Easy Pascal looks like. There's different Pascal applications. Easy Pascal is just one of the many applications that you can use to create a Pascal program. The top area is called the output area. So notice if I select text output, I'm only going to see the output area in green. If I select program, which is the blue area, that is going to show me where I'm typing my program. So a combination of green and blue is basically a combination of the output area and the program area. So how do we create a program? Simply go step by step with the textbook and follow the pattern once again. So the very first word is going to be the word program to indicate that you're creating a program. Give me a second. Give me a second, let me ensure I am telling you the right stuff. Good. So, yes, as I said, so this is page 256 of the textbook, the very first example. So the very first thing you need for a Pascal program is the word program to indicate that basically that's the starting point of your program. And after that, you can have a title. Your title is going to be basically the same thing that you have in your pseudocode. Add in 3 numbers. Remember, we don't use space. And then we're going to use a semicolon. A semicolon in programming is basically a full stop. So curly brackets are used for comments. So what I'm typing here is not a part of the program. This is called a comment. So you guys would have done EDPM, or some of you would have done EDPM, and in Microsoft Word there was a comment option whereby it's not a part of the document, technically not a part of the document. It won't be printed if you print the document. Similarly, a comment, it is there visible when you look at the code, but it's not a part of the program. So it's basically to give you additional information. So start by typing the word program followed by a title. That is the first line of your of a Pascal program. A semicolon functions as a period in a sentence. Period is used to indicate the end of a sentence. Similarly, a semicolon functions as the end of a line of statement. A semicolon indicates the end of a statement. So 3 things we learned so far. 1, all Pascal programs start with the word program. After the word program, you need to add a title, a descriptive title, no space, and then finally a semicolon. What is the purpose of the semicolon? The semicolon functions as a period, end of, just like our period ends a sentence. The semicolon indicates the end of a statement. Are we following so far?
Yes, sir.
Amrita?
Yes, sir.
Alright, so let's move on now. Now, now we need to add the keyword var, and I'm going to put in comment. This section.
Excuse me, sir. We need to type what you're typing.
Yeah, you should go ahead. You should type exactly what I'm typing so that you can save a copy, so that you can have your own copy. So yes, type what I'm typing as we're going through. So var, what is the purpose of var? This section is used to declare your variables. So just like how in pseudocode we have to declare our variables right after the title, and I taught you guys to put a title of variable declaration. var is the indication of that variable declaration section. So here now, if you press the tab key, it won't work. So you got to press some space so I can indent. So we can type number 1 and followed by a colon and then the data type. So in this case, we're going to type integer. Number 2 colon integer. Number 3 colon integer. So tell me when you guys would have completed up to here. You don't need to type the comments. I'm going to send you this document later on when we're finished. Just type everything except the comments so that we can work through quickly. So tell me when you're finished with everything except the comments. Remember, the comments are in the curly brackets.
Sir, did you indent using the space bar?
Yes, because the tab key won't work. So you gotta press space. result integer. So that's our fourth point for the day for programming. var is the section that we are going to use to declare our variables. Please let me know when you finish typing so that I can continue. You don't need to type the comments, which is in curly brackets. Just type everything else. Erica, you getting through?
Yes, sir. Finish.
Good. Nathan, you get it to work?
Yes, sir. Just finished it.
Okay, good. Ameline, you finished typing?
Yes, sir.
Alright, good. Good. So we're finished with our declaration. So not gonna spend too long on it. Just remember it's the same as we would have learned from pseudocode. Remember in pseudocode you put the name of the variable, but in the pseudocode I would have told you to use equal sign, but the rule here is to use a colon. So structure equal variable name colon and data type followed by the data type. That's the structure. Good. Now after the declaration, what we had to do in the pseudocode, what was the next stage after declaration?
Initialization.
Very good, initialization. So there's a few ways we can do that. One way, we can put a const keyword. So this is used to create constants. So we put the keyword const, and as we would have learned about constants, what's the difference between a constant and a variable?
A constant is a definite value, and the variable can change.
Good. So a constant is simply a type of variable that does not change. So here now, if we do number 1, we can say it's equal to 0. Number 2 is equal to 0. Number 3 is equal to 0. So the structure is variable name equal to the value. Good. Now, this here is going to be incorrect because this is creating a constant. This is going to be incorrect. This is creating a constant. Let's put the cursor before it and press enter to shift it downwards because we can still use it. We place it in the wrong location. After const, still keep the word const, because constants or const is where we are going to create our constants. But in this case, initializing and constants is technically slightly different. We just want to initialize, not create a constant. So how we're going to create a constant now is by putting the word begin. Now begin, this indicates the start of the body. So this is where you can have all your inputs, all your outputs, your calculations, and so on. And by now having number 1, number 2, number 3 equal to 0, we are initializing our variables here. So initializing variables, which is practically the same pattern as creating the constants, but just that a constant is when you don't want to change the value. We do want to change these values in number 1, 2, and 3, but just that we want to initialize it or give it a starting value of 0. So it's two different things we're doing there, constant and initializing. One is to give it a fixed value, that's constant, and initializing is to give it a starting value. I hope you're clear on that there, the difference there. So const, you're going to type the word const, then after that you can type the word begin, and then we're going to initialize number 1, 2, and 3. So let me know when you're finished up to there. You can also initialize results. Please let me know when you're finished.
Finish, sir.
Good.
Finished, sir.
Good.
Finished, sir.
All right, Lena.
Sir, I'm at number 3.
All right. All right. Well, let me continue then. We're almost there. Good. So after the begin, that's when you're going to initialize your variables, and that this is the pattern as to how you initialize. Same as creating a constant. Now remember, notice how I'm indenting to show what falls under what. So this initializing here, right after this begin to indicate that. Now what I'm going to do next, how do we, now we need to do our input, output, and processing after the initializing. So first we need to create a prompt for our input. So we need to make an output first. So how do we do output? We use the keyword write. There's 2 keywords. Let me put in comment. Write and write ln, which is pronounced write line. are used for outputs. So we're going to use write ln, and in let me see what's the pattern. Open brackets, single quotation mark, and then you put the phrase or the word or whatever you want to be output on the screen. So we're going to say write line, please enter the first number, single quotation mark, close brackets, and remember this is a prompt. You're telling the person what to do. Next comment, read and read ln are used for inputs. So we're going to say read ln, and then in brackets, which variable we want to store the value into. Number 1. Don't forget your semicolons, because if you don't use a semicolon, we'll get errors. So, but notice I'm going to indent my read line under my write line to show these two are working with each other. So, write line, please enter the first number. That is prompting the person what to do. And then we are accepting that input into the value called number 1. You can highlight it and copy it, because it's the same thing we're going to do for the rest. Please enter the second number, and you just change it from number 1 to number 2 in the read line. Copy it again. And then edit it. Please enter the third number and change this to number 3. So what I highlighted there, that's what you have to create so far. So this is how you output and this is how you input. This is the pattern. So output structure. The output structure is write or write line, open bracket, 2 single quotation mark, close bracket. That's how you do create an output. Structure for input, read or read line, followed by, let me put followed by letter or phrase. I'll put string, and that will cover everything. Read or read ln, followed by open brackets, variable, close brackets, and that's how you structure an input statement. Let me know when you guys finish creating your 3 inputs and 3 outputs.
Finish, sir.
Good.
Finish, sir.
Good.
Finish, sir.
Very good. So we have our 3 inputs and our 3 outputs. Now, what we have to do next, we have to do our calculation. So that's going to be result. So the same pattern, the same manner of creating a formula. The variable on the left hand side is what is going to store the value. So we're going to put result equal, and then the formula on the right hand side, number 1 plus number 2 plus number 3 semicolon to end that statement. So create your calculation, your process, and then we have to create our output, right line. So we're going to put a phrase first. The result is colon space quotation mark. We're going to put a comma to separate that phrase from the variable that we want to output. So that's going to be the variable result. And then we close the brackets. So whenever you open a bracket, you must close a bracket. So that's how you output a phrase with a variable. Same manner I would have taught you in the pseudocode. The phrase goes in the quotation mark, variable goes by itself, and a comma separates them. Semicolon. Always remember to put your semicolon at the end of a statement. And then finally, so we have our inputs, our process, our output, and then last but not least is the keyword end followed by a full stop. That is to indicate the complete end of your program. So if you notice on the left hand side here of the screen, we followed these steps here for the entire program. So type out this here at the bottom. Let me know when you're finished with these 3 lines here.
Finish, sir.
Good.
Finish, sir. Finish, sir.
Good.
Finish, sir.
Great. Great. Good. Now, let's go over what we have so far. On the left hand side of the screen, you can notice this is the example 1 in the textbook. We would have followed this example. Firstly, we typed the word program. Notice we have the word program here, followed by a title. That's the very first part of the program. Second, I taught you guys how to make a comment. So comments are in curly brackets. So you notice I typed a bunch of comments. Third, I taught you guys how to do your variable declaration, constant, and then we're at this word begin, which is to indicate the starting of your statements, your IPO statements, your input, your initializing, your process, and your output. Write ln or write is used for output, and all programs are going to use the word end to indicate the end of that program. So it's from program to end. That's the starting point, that's the ending point. Anything beyond end will not be part of the program code and will not be carried out, even if it's logically correct. So I'm going to switch back to input and output screen. Now what we need to do next, after you would have finished typing your code, the next step is for you to compile your code. Compiling, basically the software is going to run through the program code that you would have typed and ensure everything was typed correctly. So if you select compile, right now I'm getting an error. Identifier expected. So let me see. Is it because I wrote the word const?
So I was looking at that.
Yeah, I think it's because I wrote the word const and there's nothing there. Alright, so what you guys gonna do? Let me see if I delete it. If that's gonna fix it.
Sir, you could put the word const inside the comment.
Yeah. So let me put it in comments. Very good idea. Alright, so if you notice, I placed const in comments. You guys can do that also. So, but if you notice, as we compile, we're getting more errors. So, for initializing, we're supposed to use colon equal. So notice it was actually telling us that in the error. If you notice, when you compile, it highlights a part of the code. Wherever it highlights, that is where it is indicating the error is located. So please remember that, wherever it highlights, that's the location of the error. If it highlights a line and you're not finding where the error is, look at the line before it. Like for instance, if it highlighted like this here, or it placed the cursor just before number 3, then obviously there's nothing here. It means that the error is in the line before it, which is number 2 equals 0. So just remember that. Whenever you compile and it gives you an error, it highlights it to indicate that's the error location. But if it doesn't highlight anything and it puts the cursor at the beginning of a line, check the line before it. That's where the error will be located. Good. So as we're compiling, we notice we're getting some error that we need to type colon equal. So type in your colon equal. So you put const in a curly bracket. For your initializing, put your colon. We're going to compile again. We can notice the same for results. We need to put a colon. I'm not sure why it's asking for colon because this other program I have is compiling without the colon. But now I'm going to get compiled successful. So please tell me when you get compiled successful.
Yes, sir.
Good.
Yes.
Good. Yeah, it seems as though I need to add a constant. That's why it's giving me that error. 2 more persons. Did you get compiled successful? 2 more persons didn't respond. Anybody did not get compiled successful? All right, no responses. So compile successful simply means that the program would have went through the code. It did not find any errors. Now that does not mean the program is perfect, because as we're going to learn later down in the line, that there's two types of errors. There's a type of error called a syntax error. And a syntax error is what we were just getting. When you don't follow the rules, when you don't follow the guideline. For example, when I don't put colon equal, that's called a syntax error. I didn't follow the rule to create the statement. Now, I'm compiling and everything is successful, but when I run the program and I get an error, that is called a runtime error, because I get that error when the program was running. That's just something to remember for the future. Now we have compiled successful, so now we can run the program. So run your program, and you're gonna notice in the output area, you're gonna get, please enter the first number. So I'm gonna enter 30. Please enter the second number, 40. You can enter whatever number you want. 20. The result is 90. So I have my output there, and the program ends. If you notice at the bottom, it says end of program reached. And we've just completed a simple program. We have created a simple program. So let me know if you guys got your program to work.
Yes, sir.
Great.
No, sir.
No? What problem you getting?
Say, please enter the first number. That didn't show up to me.
So did you select compile?
Yeah.
Are you seeing at the bottom compile successful?
Yeah.
And did you select run?
Yeah.
So when you select run, nothing is showing up at the top here?
Nope. And like I randomly entered 3 numbers.
Alright, well, it means somewhere along the line, you didn't type the code correctly. So, let me simplify this thing here. Save change program, yeah. Just give me a new yes. No, I don't want you to save. Just open a new program. That's all I want you to do. I don't want this one to close. Alright, you know what to do. Save. Oh yeah, I need to save it though. Program example. Good. So copy and then open. Good. So I'm going to delete that, delete that, delete that, delete that, that. But see if you have what I have here, because this is all you need to have in your program. See if you're missing anything. See if you have your read line before your write line. The write line has to be first. Maybe that's the mistake. It's write line, then read line. Getting through?
Yeah, but it still doesn't show me the like the green part.
Are you not seeing the green parts?
No, remember your one could have shown you that you had to add a number
Uh-huh.
after you. It's not showing up to me.
So you're not seeing this green part here in your program?
Yes, I am, but
Uh-huh.
it doesn't like instruct me what to do like yours did.
All right, there we go, piece by piece. Do you have this line in your program? Where I highlight?
Yeah,
And you have this here.
yeah.
And then you have this here.
Uh huh.
Good. So right after that, do you have right line? Please enter your first number.
Yeah,
Exactly as you're seeing it right now.
yeah.
That means something you typed incorrectly. Screen share, let me see.
Oh, I got like prompt to the end.
Yeah. It's something you typed incorrectly. I mean, the prompt was in a comment, so it shouldn't have affected anything. Once it's in a comment, once in a curly brackets.
So
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna run it now,
Uh-huh.
and it still doesn't give me any instructions.
All right, screen share, let me see what's happening with yours. Erica, you got through?
Yes, sir. It ran.
All right, great. Africo?
So I'm getting an error at one of the lines while I'm trying to fix it by myself. Let me try.
Okay, good.
You can see.
Yeah, I can see. Scroll up. All right, good. So program, add in 3 numbers. Good. You have var, and then you have begin. No, wait, that's correct. Hold on. Yeah, begin, and then that's good. So you have right line. No, you have it in curly brackets. That's your problem. It's normal brackets.
For right line?
Yeah. Curly brackets is a comments. That's why it's not showing up. Comments do not show up in the program code. So if you use whatever you put in the curly brackets, they don't show up in your output. So that's why you have to use normal brackets for these to show up and work. So you're using the wrong brackets. So please remember, curly brackets is a comments. Comments do not show up. They do not display. You only see them in the program code, like what we're looking at right now. Good. Compile first. Compile successful. Run.
Oh.
Congratulations. Enter your first number. See if it works. Good. Second. Third. Congratulations. Africa, are you getting through?
So I'm still not getting it. It's just this one line at the result.
You want a screen share? Let me see.
Yes, sir. Sir, could you see Pascal?
No. I want to see in your profile picture. Might have to do the entire screen or a window or something. We might have to do entire screen. Yeah. Compile first. Let me see where you're getting your error.
Yeah. Yeah, compile.
Alright, so see you're getting it at number result, which means something just before it or result. Oh, you, so I hope everybody's paying attention to the error. Um, Basically, what's happening here, if you notice, she's getting unknown identifier. Unknown identifier simply means it doesn't recognize it. So if you're using a variable and it doesn't recognize it, it simply means you haven't done what with it.
Then declare it, sir.
Right. Semicolon. Good. Compile again. Good. Run. Good. First number.
Then you press enter, right, sir?
Huh?
You press enter?
Yeah. Good. Next number. Good. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Alright. So we just created a simple program. Before we close off, I want us to just go through some errors with this program before we forget about it. So I'm going to maximize the screen so that you can see the complete program. Now please pay attention to these errors. Now the bottom of the program is called the status bar. That's where you can see, where you are going to see the errors. If I delete this word program, if I don't add the word program, notice what's going to happen. So I deleted the word program, select compile. Notice it says program expected. So whenever you see this error, program expected, it simply means that the person did not type the word program. So we have to ensure that the word program is there. Now what about the title? Let me remove the title. If I don't have a title, what's going to happen? I remove the title, compile, identifier expected. It's expecting a title after this word program. So even if I put the letter A, program A, which line is too long? Why am I getting line too long? Why am I getting line too long? Something was accidentally deleted. This comment. Yeah. So I don't know if you guys saw that, but a random curly brackets appeared here. This random curly brackets appeared, and when I was compiling, I was getting this error here, line too long. So that's one of the challenge with programming. Something you might accidentally type something somewhere, and it throws off the entire program, and it wasn't even showing where the error was. If you notice, the cursor gone till to the end of the program here at end. But I had to look carefully to find this one single curly bracket and delete it. And when I compile now it's going to work. But good. So going back to the top, if you delete the title, if you don't have a title, and we compile, unknown, identifier expected, so it's expecting a title. So let me try add back A again. Compile, notice compile successful. Even one single letter is going to work. So you just got to ensure you have a title and you have the word program. What happens if you don't add the semicolon? So no semicolon, compile. Notice it literally says semicolon expected. Literally says in error semicolon expected. So some of the error codes literally tell you what to do. But if you notice, as I mentioned, sometimes when it highlights, it's not expecting the semicolon next to var, it's expecting it in the line before. So that's something you have to figure out. It highlighted var, but it's referring to the line before it, which is this one here. So we need to add in a semicolon. Are we following so far?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Three errors there so far. Good, very good. So I just showed you what happens when we don't have those information there. So if I delete var now, what's going to happen? Definition part or begin expected. So it's expecting this begin to appear at the top there when I don't have that var, but that's something very technical. But just to remember the different sections of your program. If I don't have this colon, what's going to happen? Literally telling you colon expected. So some literally tell you what to do. If I type int, what's going to happen? I think it's going to still work, or no, it's not going to work. It doesn't recognize the word int. It doesn't recognize that either. So you got to put the literal word integer. It only recognizes that word integer. If you don't have begin, duplicate identifier, it's basically merging these two sections together. This is now one section. So duplicate identifier, we're using the same variable twice in this one section of declaration. So that's the error that I'm getting there. But it is correct, but just because I removed that word begin, it became one section. And the two variables weren't being able to distinguish between each other. Compile successful. Now remember I said right and right line are both used for output. So what's the difference? Right, it all depends on where the cursor goes. So we need to see the output for this here. So if I run, notice where it says, please enter the first number. And notice where is the cursor in the next line. So right line is used when you want the cursor to go to the next line. So let's use right instead of right line. Let's see what's going to happen. So I'm going to compile, I'm going to run. Notice where the cursor is in the same line. So right line is used when you want to move the cursor over to the next line. It's used for organizing your output basically. Because if we didn't use right line and read line, everything would be in the same line. So let me show you. If I remove all of the ln, the program is going to work, compile successful, run, but everything is going to be in that one line. Everything is going to be in that one line, which is not good for the outputs because everything is jumbled up together. So that's why we need to put that ln in certain locations so that we can organize our outputs basically. So remember, read line and write line moves the cursor to the next line. Compile and run. So notice the cursor moves over to the next line every time you use it. Was another error. After right line, if we don't have a bracket, what's going to happen? Semicolon expected. Because it doesn't know what to do with this phrase here, this statement that we have here. So it's just that we need to remember the structure of it being open bracket followed by an apostrophe. What would happen if we use double quotation mark instead of single quotation mark? Expression expected. It's just for us to remember the rule is that we have to use single quotation mark, not double quotation mark. So some won't tell you exactly what to fix, how to fix it. The variable For read line, if I delete the bracket once again, semicolon expected. Let me delete the other bracket and see what's going to happen. Semicolon expected. So it needs that variable in the bracket. Otherwise, it won't work. What else? Well, we know what's going to happen if we delete the semicolon. If I delete this colon here next to equal, what's going to happen? It literally tells you colon equal. Well, we saw that one earlier. If you don't type a variable name correctly, what's going to happen? For example, salt instead of result. A node identifier like you saw with Africo. Because you don't type the name correctly, the system doesn't recognize it. Let me see if it's case sensitive. Common result, capital result. Okay, so it's not case sensitive, so you don't have to worry about that. And last but not least, outputting the variable with a phrase. So this is why I was explaining that if we put the variable in, I'm going to put back the comma. If you put the variable inside of the quotation mark, it will function as a normal word. So look at the output. The variable is inside of the output. So notice it literally says the result is result. So it's not going to treat it as a variable. It just treats it as a simple word. So that's why we have to keep it outside of the quotation mark and separate it with a comma. Because if we don't separate it with a comma, what's going to happen? Bracket expected. It's expecting you to close this bracket here. So we need to put that comma to indicate it's two different things. Compile. And notice compile successful. Even if we want to continue in the same line, comma once again to separate it, quotation mark. The result is value, and what to put at the end. Let's put some random characters for now. Compile, run. So adding the three numbers together, and notice the result is colon the value from the variable and then the phrase or this random letters that I would have typed. Now notice exactly what you put in the quotation mark will appear. So because I didn't put any space inside of this last output here, no space appeared between the variable and these random letters here. So how much ever space you put in the quotation mark will also appear in your outputs. So that's some tips to remember there. What's going to happen if we don't put end? It's literally going to tell you statement expected, but unfortunately it's not telling you which statement. So you got to know you got to put end. Well, it doesn't know technically that you want to end the program, so it won't tell you end expected. But if you don't put a period, it's going to tell you period expected, because it knows after the end a period should go there. So this is the complete end statement here. Compile, compile successful. Now one final tip before you go. If you notice everything is still a bit jumbled, but what if we want to separate the lines from each other? Maybe have lines of space, like how I have lines of space in my code here. What we can do, this pattern you're going to use whenever you want a line of space. You do right line, open brackets, and the two single quotation marks. Remember, not double quotation mark, two single quotation mark. This is the pattern. Right line, open bracket, single quotation mark, close bracket, semicolon. You copy and paste this wherever you want a line of space. So if I want a line of space, after every output and input, I simply put that in that location there. So when I compile and run, notice it says enter your first number, and I have a line of space there. Line of space there also, line of space there also. Good. Any questions before we wrap up?
No, sir, not right now.
All right. If no questions, remember to practice this, practice it over, memorize what you're doing. And remember for the SBA, you simply substitute what the instructions, whatever you got to do, you substitute it with what you got to put in here. Next week, we're going to continue with the if statement, the loop statements, and should be able to wrap up. Well, depends on how long it takes, but we should be able to wrap up programming next week. All right, if no questions on anything we covered today, that should be the end of today's class. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Bye, sir.
Goodbye.
Bye, sir.